I wake before my alarm, the old habit still with me after all these years. Something feels off. The air in my farmhouse sits too still, too quiet. My eyes snap open in the darkness, and I listen. Nothing but the gentle tick of the grandfather clock downstairs that Sarah loved so much. The floorboards creak under my feet as I move to the window. The moon hangs full and bright over my cornfields, casting long shadows across the land I've worked for 7 years since leaving the service. Most folks around here think I'm just Old Man Miller, the quiet farmer who keeps to himself. They have no idea who I was before I planted my first seed. I spotted immediately a van parked just beyond my property line, half hidden by the cluster of oaks. Third time this week. Same spot, same time. Could be coincidence, but 20 years as a Green Beret sniper taught me there's no such thing. My coffee tastes bitter this morning as I watch the sun rise over my fields. The barn needs a new coat of paint. The tractor's acting up again. Normal farmer problems that should occupy my mind, but I can't shake the feeling of being watched. "You're getting paranoid in your old age, James," I mutter to myself, running a hand over 3 days of stubble. Sarah would have nagged me to shave by now. I miss her voice most in these quiet morning moments. Cancer took her last spring, quick and merciless. Left me alone with 200 acres and memories that crowd this old house like ghosts. The phone rings, startling me from my thoughts. "Miller," I answer. "James, it's Sheriff Davis. Thought you should know we had another farm hit last night. Thompson's place over on County Line Road. Cleaned out their safe. 3 men, just like the others." My jaw tightens. "Anyone hurt?" Old man Thompson got roughed up pretty bad when he walked in on them. He's a county general. I thank him and hang up, my mind already calculating. 3 farms hit in 2 months. All remote properties. All owned by older folks living alone. All with the same 3-man crew. And now that van watching my place. I step outside, scanning my property with eyes trained to notice what others miss. To anyone else, it's just a farm with a weathered house, a red barn, and fields stretching to the tree line. To me, it's a perimeter that needs securing. By noon, I've checked my gun safe in the basement. Inside, my old service rifle sits cleaned and oiled, though I haven't fired it since Afghanistan. Beside it, the pistol I keep loaded. I take out neither. Instead, I reach for the lockbox on the top shelf where I keep the items from my past life, items I promised Sarah I would never need again. My fingers find the small motion sensors first, then the pressure plates, the infrared triggers, all military grade, all souvenirs from my time training special forces and counter-surveillance. Just in case, I told Sarah when she found them years ago. "In case of what?" she'd asked, worry creasing her forehead. I never had a good answer then. I do now. By sunset, I placed sensors at key points around the property. Nothing obvious. One disguised as a garden gnome near the back door, another as a bird feeder by the side gate. The pressure plates go under the worn path to the back porch. The infrared triggers I hide in the trees lining the long driveway. All connected to my phone and the alarm system I installed after Sarah died, when the silence of the house became too much to bear. Night falls, and I sit on my porch, nursing a glass of whiskey, looking like nothing more than an old farmer unwinding after a long day. But my eyes never stop moving, scanning the darkness beyond my porch light's reach. The van doesn't show tonight. That worries me more than if it had. They've finished watching. Now they're planning. I sleep in the old recliner by the window, my phone beside me, set to alert at the slightest trigger from my sensors. The pistol rests in the drawer of the side table, within easy reach. Just before dawn, I wake and make my rounds of the property. Everything looks normal, but the backlog shows tiny scratch marks, amateur attempts that didn't succeed. They've already tested my security, thinking I wouldn't notice. I smile grimly as I head to the barn. In the back corner, hidden under a tarp, sits my old sniper nest equipment. The rifle case I haven't opened in 7 years. The ghillie suit I promised never to wear again. The night vision goggles that have seen things I've spent years trying to forget. "I'm sorry, Sarah," I whisper to the empty barn, "but I won't let them take what's ours." I spend the day setting up the blind in the massive oak that overlooks the entire property. By nightfall, I've transformed from Farmer James Miller to Staff Sergeant Miller, spotter of threats, eliminator of risks. But this isn't Afghanistan, and these aren't enemy combatants. These are desperate men making bad choices. I won't take lives on American soil on my own land. The non-lethal traps go in next. Snares that will hold but not harm. Flashbangs that will disorient but not deafen. Even the old PA system from the county fair Sarah used to organize, now wired throughout the property. As darkness falls completely, I settle into my position in the oak tree, night vision ready, farm completely dark. Let them think I'm asleep, vulnerable. 20 years in special forces taught me patience. 7 years of farming reinforced it. I can wait all night for them to make their move. And when they do, they'll learn that choosing Old Man Miller's farm was the biggest mistake of their lives. The night air chills my bones as I watch the three shadows emerge from the cornfield. They move with the awkward stealth of men who've watched too many movies. Hunched over, exaggerated steps, unnecessary hand signals. Nothing like the fluid movement I learned in special forces. Through my night vision goggles, I study them. Leader in front, confident stride, carrying what looks like a crowbar and lockpicks. Big guy behind him, nervous energy, keeps looking over his shoulder, has something bulky under his jacket. Third man brings up the rear, thin, jumpy, the lookout. Amateurs. Dangerous amateurs. The first sensor trips as they cross into my south field. My phone vibrates silently against my chest. I could call Sheriff Davis now. His cruiser is only 10 minutes away, but something holds me back. Maybe it's the way the leader keeps checking on his companions, or how the nervous one nearly trips over his own feet. These aren't hardened criminals. They're desperate men. I've seen that desperation before in villages across Afghanistan. Sometimes it leads to violence. Sometimes it just needs a different path. They approach my back door, staying low beneath windows. The leader kneels, working on the lock with surprising skill. The big one stands guard while the thin one keeps watching the driveway, the wrong direction. They haven't even considered someone might be watching from above. The lock clicks open. My finger hovers over the remote trigger for the security system. One push and they'll be blinded by lights, deafened by sirens. But not yet. I want to see what they do first. The leader eases the door open, peers inside. All three slip into my darkened kitchen. I count to 30, then activate the red laser sight on my rifle. I don't aim at them. Just let the dot dance across the kitchen window. A warning. Inside, I hear a whispered curse. The thin one spotted it. They freeze, then scramble to get out the way they came. Perfect. Time to introduce myself. I press the button for the security system. The night explodes with light and sound. Floodlights blind them as they stumble onto the back porch. The siren wails across the silent countryside. Through my scope, I watch chaos unfold. The big guy bolts, crashing through my cornfield in blind panic. The leader and the thin one die behind my old tractor, pulling weapons from their jackets. I activate the outdoor speakers. You boys picked the wrong farm, I say, my voice calm and amplified across the property. I can see you clear as day. Your friend is running through my cornfield, setting off every alarm I have. You two are trapped behind a tractor that won't stop bullets. A lie. I have no intention of shooting unless absolutely necessary, but they don't know that. I descend from my blind, moving silently through the shadows as I'd done on countless missions. The familiar weight of the rifle in my hands brings back memories I've spent years burying. The cool focus, the heightened senses, the absolute certainty of my next move. The thin one breaks first, making a dash for the barn. Exactly as I predicted. He triggers the snare trap I set along that path. A sharp cry as the rope catches his ankle, lifting him a foot off the ground. Painful but harmless, designed to hold, not injure. One down. I say into the speaker system, making my voice come from everywhere and nowhere. I circle around the tractor where the leader still hides. He's smarter, more calculating, more dangerous. Your options are shrinking by the second. I continue. I've already called the sheriff. You have about 8 minutes to make better choices than you've made tonight. Another lie. I haven't called anyone yet. I step deliberately into a pool of light, letting him see me clearly, an older man in farm clothes, but with the unmistakable stance of someone who knows how to handle himself. The rifle hangs at my side, pointed at the ground. A calculated risk. 3 men came to rob an old farmer, I say, looking directly at his hiding spot. One's running scared through my corn. One's caught in my trap. And you, I pause, letting him feel the weight of my words. You're making decisions that will determine if you leave my property walking or in a bag. I see movement behind the tractor. Slowly, hands raised, the leader stands. His face is younger than I expected, streaked with sweat and fear. Please, he says, voice shaking. We didn't know. Didn't know what? I ask, keeping my distance. That after 3 tours in Afghanistan, after training as a Green Beret, I might be prepared for 3 amateurs trying to rob my farm. His eyes widen. Good. He's realizing how badly they misjudged the situation. I take a step closer, maintaining eye contact. Your friend in the barn isn't going anywhere. The one in my cornfield has probably hit 3 more alarms by now. The leader swallows hard. We just needed money. We weren't going to hurt anyone. I study him for a long moment. Something in his desperation reminds me of boys I've seen in war zones, making terrible choices because they saw no alternatives. I'm going to check on your friend, I tell him. You have 2 choices. Run, and I call the sheriff with descriptions of all 3 of you. Or stay, and we figure out a better ending to this night. I turn my back on him, another calculated risk, and walk toward the barn. Behind me, I hear him thinking, weighing his options. Then his footsteps follow me. He's chosen to stay. As I reach the thin man hanging from my snare, I hear an unmistakable sound from the direction of my house. The slide of a handgun being chambered. The big guy has circled back, found the weapon I deliberately left visible in the kitchen drawer. What he doesn't know is that it contains no ammunition. I turn to the leader, whose face has gone pale with recognition of the sound. Your friend is making things complicated, I say quietly. I hear the empty click of the trigger before the big guy realizes the gun won't fire. The look of confusion on the leader's face would almost be comical if the situation weren't so dangerous. Empty, I call out toward the house. Check the magazine if you don't believe me. A string of curses erupts from the darkness of my kitchen. The leader beside me tenses, ready to bolt. I place a firm hand on his shoulder. Your friend's making poor choices, I tell him quietly. We need to defuse this before someone gets hurt. I move to the thin man hanging from my snare, still swinging gently, his face twisted in pain. His ankle is swollen, but not broken. I pull my knife from my boot, and the leader steps forward. Don't, he pleads, thinking I'm about to do something much worse than cut his friend down. Relax, I say, slicing through the rope with practiced ease. The thin man drops to the ground with a thud and a groan. I told you, I'm not a killer anymore. The words hang in the night air. 20 years of my life spent becoming the perfect weapon, and now I'm trying to convince 3 would-be robbers I won't use those skills against them. I kneel beside the thin man, examining his ankle. Sprained, not broken. I tell him, my voice professional, detached. You'll live. His eyes are wide with fear, darting between me and the knife I've returned to my boot. Who are you? He whispers. Before I can answer, another sound cuts through the night. The big guy's found the back door, is stumbling down the porch steps, still clutching the useless gun. Marcus, the leader calls out. Stop. The gun's not loaded. Too late. Marcus raises the weapon, pointing it directly at me. His hands shake so badly I doubt he could hit me even with a loaded gun. Still, old instincts die hard. I calculate the distance between us, the time it would take me to reach my rifle, the probability of disarming him before he realizes his mistake. Put it down, son, I say, my voice dropping into the command tone that once directed Special Forces teams through enemy territory. That weapon's of no use to anyone. Marcus hesitates, confusion crossing his face as he pulls the trigger again. Another empty click. The realization dawns slowly. I've been telling the truth. Check the magazine, I tell him. Go ahead. With trembling fingers, he ejects the magazine. Empty, just as I said. The fight seems to drain out of him instantly, his shoulders slumping as he lowers the gun. All of you on the porch, I order, helping the thin man to his feet. He leans heavily on me as we make our way toward the house. The leader follows, keeping a wary eye on Marcus, who looks like he might bolt at any second. For men, standing in the harsh glare of my security lights. 3 young, desperate, and afraid. 1 old, tired, but still dangerous. Sit, I tell them, gesturing to the worn wooden chairs on my porch. Once Sarah's favorite spot to watch the sunset. Now the setting for whatever this strange encounter is becoming. They obey, the thin man wincing as he takes weight off his injured ankle. I step inside, keeping them in view through the window as I grab my first aid kit and 4 bottles of water from the fridge. When I return, none of them have moved an inch. I hand the water around, then kneel to bandage the thin man's ankle. What's your name? I ask him. Denny. He mumbles, watching my hands work with the precision that once assembled rifles in pitch darkness. Well, Denny, you'll need ice on this, but you'll be fine. I secure the bandage and stand, turning to the others. And you too? The leader clears his throat. I'm Ray. That's Marcus. I nod, taking in this information. James Miller. I reply, though I doubt they need the introduction. They've clearly been watching my place, know exactly who I am. Or at least who they thought I was. Why? I ask simply, leaning against the porch railing. Why my farm? Ray looks down at his hands, still trembling slightly. Heard you keep cash. Military pension. Don't trust banks. I almost laugh at the irony. And you figured an old farmer living alone would be an easy target. Marcus speaks for the first time, his voice surprisingly soft for such a big man. We didn't know about you. What you were. Green Beret. Sniper. 20 years service, I say. Not bragging, just stating facts. 3 tours in Afghanistan. Retired 7 years ago to grow corn and raise a few chickens with my wife. Where's your wife now? Denny asks, then immediately looks like he regrets it. Cancer, I reply shortly. Last spring. A heavy silence falls over the porch. In the distance, a coyote howls, a lonely sound that echoes across my empty fields. So what now? Ray finally asks, the question hanging in the air between us. You calling the sheriff? I study them carefully, seeing beneath the surface for the first time. Ray's hands, calloused, workers' hands. Marcus's hollow cheeks. When was the last time he ate a proper meal? Denny's eyes, too old for his young face. Like he's seen things no kid should have to see. That depends, I say slowly, making my decision. On whether you boys want to tell me the real reason you're so desperate you'd rob an old man's farm. Ray's eyes meet mine, and I see something shift there. Recognition, maybe. One soldier sizing up another, even if he never wore a uniform. We've got nothing left to lose, he says quietly. At least, that's what we thought until tonight. Behind him, the eastern sky begins to lighten, dawn approaching, bringing with it possibilities none of us saw coming. Everyone's got something to lose, I tell him, thinking of Sarah, of the life we built here, of the man I've been trying to become since hanging up my rifle. And everyone deserves a chance to find something better. Ray looks at me with confusion, then dawning hope. What are you saying? I'm saying, I reply, watching the first rays of sun streak across my cornfields, that sometimes the mission changes in the field. And right now, I think we all need some breakfast before we decide what happens next. The 4 of us sit around my kitchen table, steam rising from plates of eggs and bacon. None of the 3 men have touched their food yet, still wary, still waiting for the trap to spring. It's not poisoned, I say, taking a deliberate bite of toast. Eat. They don't need to be told twice. Marcus devours his plate like he hasn't seen food in days. Maybe he hasn't. Denny picks at his eggs, still eyeing me suspiciously. Ray eats slowly, methodically, his eyes never leaving mine. Why are you doing this? He finally asks, setting down his fork. Why not just call the cops? Outside, my chickens cluck as they peck around the yard, oblivious to the night's events. Morning light streams through windows. Sarah insisted on keeping curtain-free. God's light, she called it. No sense shutting it out. I take a sip of coffee, gathering my thoughts. You know what they teach you first in the military? How to size up a threat. You 3, I gesture with my mug. You're not threats. You're just lost. Marcus looks up from his empty plate. You don't know anything about us. I know enough. I counter. I know you came here expecting an easy score from a helpless old farmer. I know you're desperate enough to risk prison for whatever cash you thought I had. And I know not one of you is actually prepared to hurt anyone. Denny shifts uncomfortably in his chair, wincing as he jostles his injured ankle. So what? You're some kind of what? Good Samaritan? The question hangs in the air. Truth is, I don't know what I am anymore. For 20 years, I was a weapon, precise, lethal, following orders. Then I was a husband, a farmer, building something peaceful with Sarah. Now I'm just an old soldier trying to find purpose in an empty house. I've seen what happens when men get backed into corners. I say finally. In war zones across the world. Sometimes they just need someone to offer another way out. Ray's eyes narrow. And that's what you're doing? Offering us a way out. Maybe. I stand, carrying my plate to the sink. First, I want to hear your stories. Real ones this time. For a long moment, no one speaks. Then Ray clears his throat. I was a contractor. Good money, steady work. Then, the housing market crashed. Jobs dried up. His voice is flat, emotionless, like he's told this story too many times. Try to hold on. Lost my house, my truck. Been picking up odd jobs, but it's never enough. Marcus stares at his empty plate. Mom's sick. Cancer. Same as your wife, I guess. Insurance ran out months ago. Treatments cost more than we can make in a year. My chest tightens at the word cancer. The memory of Sarah's final days, her hand growing lighter in mine with each passing hour. Denny says nothing, eyes fixed on the floor. Your turn, I tell him. He shrugs. Nothing special. Foster kid, aged out of the system. No skills, no family, no options. Ray found me sleeping behind a gas station. At least with him, I eat sometimes. 3 broken lives, held together by desperation and bad choices. I've seen it before in villages torn apart by war, in the eyes of young men who joined the wrong side, because it was their only choice for survival. So what now? Ray asks again. You've fed us. You've heard our sad stories. What's your play here? I walk to the window, looking out over my property. 200 acres of good land. More than one man needs. More than I can properly tend alone since Sarah died. My play, I say slowly, is to offer you a choice. All 3 look up, wary but curious. I can call Sheriff Davis right now. You 3 go to jail for breaking and entering attempted robbery. Marcus gets an extra charge for the gun. That's one option. The tension in the room thickens. Marcus's hands curl into fists. Then he looks like he might be sick. Or, Ray prompts. Where you work for me, I say simply. This farm's too big for one man. Fields need tending. Barn needs repairs. Harvest comes in a few months. I'll need extra hands. Disbelief crosses their faces. Ray recovers first. You trust us? After we tried to rob you. I turn from the window, facing them directly. Trust isn't given. It's earned. You'd start with the smallest jobs under my supervision. Sleep in the bunkhouse out back. 3 meals a day, small wage that increases if you prove yourselves. Marcus shakes his head. Why would you do this? The real answer is complicated. About redemption, purpose, the empty spaces Sarah left behind. About the weight of taking lives in war and the need to balance that scale somehow. But they don't need my philosophy. Because everyone deserves a second chance, I say. Even farm robbers. Even old soldiers. Denny looks up, meeting my eyes for the first time. What about Marcus's mom? Her treatments. A fair question. I've thought about that too, during the long night. My wife was treated at County General. I still know people there. Doctors who owe me favors. I can make some calls. It's not a guarantee, but it's something. Hope flickers across Marcus's face, quickly suppressed. And if we say no, Ray asks, then I call the sheriff, and we go our separate ways. I shrug. Your choice. The 3 exchange glances, having a silent conversation. Ray, clearly their leader, studies me with new eyes. What's the catch, he finally asks. No catch. Just rules. I tick them off on my fingers. 1. No drugs, no alcohol on my property. 2. You work hard or you leave. 3. Any stealing, any violence, you're done and the sheriff gets called. 4. After 6 months, we reassess. Maybe you stay on. Maybe you've saved enough to start fresh somewhere else. It's a risk, bringing these men into my life. But something tells me it's the right call. Maybe it's the soldier in me, recognizing men who need a mission. Maybe it's Sarah's voice in my head, always pushing me to see the good in people. I don't expect an answer right now. I continue. But, yes, Ray interrupts. We'll do it. Ray, Marcus cautions, we should think about this. Think about what? Ray counters. Jail? Running until they catch us anyway? This is the best offer we're going to get. Denny nods slowly. I'm in. After a moment, Marcus sighs. Fine. But if this is some kind of trap. No trap, I assure him. Just a choice. A better one than you had yesterday. Outside, the morning has fully arrived. Sunlight washes over my fields, over the barn that needs painting, the fence that needs mending, the life that needs more than one lonely man to sustain it. First order of business, I say, standing straight, feeling the familiar weight of command settle back on my shoulders, is cleaning up the mess from last night. Denny, you're on light duty until that ankle heals. Ray, Marcus, you'll help me reset the traps and sensors. They stare at me, still processing the sudden change in their circumstances. Well, I prompt. Let's move. Daylight's burning. As they slowly stand, following me outside, I feel something I haven't felt since Sarah died. Purpose, direction, a new mission. And in the faces of these three men, wary, hopeful, broken, but not beyond repair, I see the possibility of redemption. Not just for them, but for me too. The old sniper finds new targets. Not to eliminate, but to save. The August heat beats down on us like an enemy we can't escape. 2 weeks have passed since the night 3 strangers tried to rob my farm. Now they work beside me in the cornfields, their shirts soaked with honest sweat. Water break, I call out, watching as Ray straightens his back with a wince. Marcus drops his hoe immediately. Denny, ankle mostly healed, limps over from where he's been clearing weeds. We gather under the shade of the big oak tree. The same tree I perched in with my rifle the night they came. Now we sit beneath it like men who've known each other longer than 14 days. How's your mom doing? I ask Marcus as I pass him the water jug. His face, usually guarded, softens slightly. Better. That doctor, he's got her on a new treatment plan. Says she's responding well. I nod, feeling a weight lift slightly from my chest. I'd called in favors at the hospital, spoken to doctors who remembered Sarah's fight. It wasn't much, but it was something I could do. Good. That's good. Ray watches our exchange with curious eyes. He's the hardest to read of the three, always calculating, always waiting for the trap. 20 years in special forces taught me to recognize that look. It's the look of someone who's been betrayed too many times to trust easily. Still don't get it, he says suddenly, wiping sweat from his brow. Why us? Why this? I take a long drink of water, buying time to form an answer they might understand. The real reasons are complicated, about redemption, purpose, the ghosts that haunt me from Afghanistan. About Sarah's last words to me. Don't disappear into your darkness, James. Find a way to bring light. Farm's too big for one man. I say instead, the same answer I've given before. You needed work. I needed hands. Simple as that. Ray's eyes narrow. He knows there's more, but he doesn't push. Not yet. The distant sound of tires on gravel draws our attention. A cloud of dust rises from the long driveway leading to the house. Sheriff, I say, recognizing Davis's cruiser. Stay here. I'll handle this. I meet Davis halfway between the field and the house. His face is grim under his department-issue hat, eyes hidden behind mirrored sunglasses. James, he nods in greeting. Mike, I return. What brings you out my way? He gestures toward the field where the 3 men watch us warily. Got word you hired some new help. Small towns, impossible to keep secrets. That's right. Davis removes his sunglasses, revealing concerned eyes. You know who they are? What they've been doing? I match his stare without blinking. I know enough. 3 farms robbed in the past 2 months. Description matches your new farmhands. He lowers his voice. Thompson's still in the hospital, James. My jaw tightens. The old farmer who got roughed up, in the last robbery before mine. I hadn't asked for details about their previous jobs. Maybe I should have. What do you want, Mike? He sighs, running a hand over his face. Just checking on you, making sure you know what you're doing. 20 years we've known each other. Since high school, before I enlisted, before he became sheriff. He was there when I brought Sarah home, there at her funeral when I couldn't speak through the grief. I know exactly what I'm doing, I tell him, my voice even. And what's that? Rehabilitating criminals? That what they taught you in the berets? The question stings more than it should. They taught me to assess situations, make tactical decisions. These men aren't hardened criminals, Mike. They're desperate. There's a difference. Davis looks past me to where the three stand watching. Thompson might disagree. Thompson surprised them. Things got out of hand. I say, not sure why I'm defending men I barely know. And if they surprise you some night, find your gun safe, decide the straight life isn't paying enough. The question hangs in the air between us. If Davis only knew how prepared I really am. The sensors still active around the property, the security measures in place. No one surprises a Green Beret sniper twice. I can handle myself, I remind him. Always have. Davis shakes his head. Sarah wouldn't want this, James. She want you safe. The mention of my wife's name sends a jolt through me. Don't. I warn him. Don't use her like that. He holds up his hands in surrender. Just worried about you, living out here alone, surrounded by. I'm not alone anymore. I cut him off. That's the point. Something shifts in Davis's expression. Understanding, maybe, or pity. Just be careful. I'd hate to find you like Thompson. Is that all, Sheriff? My voice has gone cold, formal. He sighs, replacing his sunglasses. For now, but I'll be checking in. I watch him drive away, dust settling in his wake. While I turn back to the field, all three men are standing closer than before, having edged toward our conversation. Everything okay, Mr. Miller? Denny asks, the youngest of the group, still awkward with how to address me. Fine, I say shortly. Back to work. Those weeds won't clear themselves. But Ray steps forward, blocking my path. That was about us, wasn't it? I meet his gaze steadily. Sheriff's doing his job, checking on a report of new people in town. Bull, Marcus says. He knows who we are. The tension thickens. 2 weeks of careful trust building threatens to collapse. I make a split-second decision, the kind that kept me alive through 3 tours. He knows you robbed 3 farms before mine, I say bluntly. Knows an old farmer named Thompson got hurt in the last one. The color drains from Denny's face. Marcus looks away. Only Ray hold my stare. You never asked, he says quietly. I'm asking now. A long moment passes, cicadas singing in the trees around us, the sun beating down mercilessly. It wasn't supposed to happen like that, Ray finally says. Thompson came home early. Marcus panicked. I turn to Marcus, who still won't meet my eyes. Panicked how? I pushed him. Marcus mutters. He fell, hit his head on the fireplace. We ran. The image forms in my mind. An old man like me, alone, bleeding on his floor, while 3 men fled with whatever they could carry. My hands clench involuntarily. You left him there? Injured? Alone? We called 911 from a payphone. Denny interjects quickly. Anonymous tip. Made sure someone would find him. I take a deep breath, processing this new information. The sheriff's concern suddenly makes more sense, as does the weight these men carry. That changes things, I say finally. Fear flashes across their faces. Denny's open panic. Marcus's resigned anger. Ray's carefully controlled dread. Are you calling the sheriff back? Ray asks, his voice level despite everything. I look at each of them in turn. These broken men I've inexplicably taken under my wing. 2 weeks of watching them work, listening to their stories over dinner, teaching them the rhythms of farm life. No, I decide. But from now on, complete honesty. No more surprises. And when harvest is done, we're going to make it right with Thompson. All of you. Relief washes over their faces, followed quickly by confusion. Make it right how? Marcus asks. We'll figure that out, I say. For now, we've got work to do. As we return to the fields, the weight of their past hangs between us. And I wonder, not for the first time, if Sarah would think I've lost my mind or if she'd understand completely. The first chill of October whispers through my cornfields as I watch the three men work the harvester. Ray operates the controls with the same focus he once applied to lockpicks. Marcus and Denny move alongside, ensuring no stalk is missed. After 2 months on my farm, they move with purpose, with pride. From the front porch, coffee warming my hands, I allow myself a moment of satisfaction. They've come far, further than even I expected. The bunkhouse that once held my seasonal workers has become their home. The farm that was once my lonely kingdom now buzzes with activity and, sometimes, even laughter. The screen door creaks behind me. Sheriff Davis steps onto the porch, declining my offered cup with a shake of his head. "Quite a sight," he comments, nodding toward the men in the field. "Never thought I'd see the day." "They're good workers," I reply. "Quick learners." Davis removes his hat, turning it in his hands. "That's not why I'm here, James." Something in his tone puts me on alert. 20 years of combat creates instincts that never fully disappear. "Thompson died last night," Davis says quietly. "Complications from his injuries. Bleeding in the brain they didn't catch in time." The mug nearly slips from my fingers. "What?" "Medical examiner says it's directly related to the assault, which makes this a homicide investigation now." The harvester's rumble suddenly seems very distant. "Thompson dead. The robbery gone wrong, now a killing. The men I've grown to respect, now potential murderers." "You need to tell me where they were that night, James," Davis continues. "I need alibis, witnesses, anything that might clear them." I set my mug down carefully. "You know I can't do that, Mike." His face hardens. "Can't or won't. We've been friends a long time, but this is my job. And my responsibility," I counter. "They work for me. They live under my roof. They killed a man. They made a mistake," I correct him. "One they've been working to make right." Davis shakes his head in disbelief. "Listen to yourself. The James Miller I knew, the war hero, the man who served his country, he wouldn't harbor criminals. His words sting because there's truth in them. The soldier I was would have turned them in immediately, would have seen only the crime, not the men behind it. But I'm not just that soldier anymore. I need to talk to them," I say finally. "Before you do," Davis hesitates, then nods reluctantly. "You've got until tomorrow morning." Then I come back with deputies and warrants. I watch him drive away, mind racing through options, scenarios, contingencies, the tactical assessment that once kept my team alive behind enemy lines. The harvester falls silent. Ray approaches the porch, wiping grease from his hands. "Everything okay?" he asks, eyeing the dissipating dust cloud from the sheriff's car. I meet his gaze directly. "Thompson died last night. Brain injury from a fall." The rag drops from Ray's hands. Behind him, I see Marcus and Denny approaching, laughing about something until they notice our expressions. That means Ray starts. "Murder charges, I finish for him. Sheriff's coming back tomorrow with warrants." The color drains from his face. I watch the news hit the others as they join us. Denny's youthful features crumpling, Marcus's hands forming fists at his sides. "We need to run," Marcus says immediately. "Tonight. And go where?" Ray challenges. "Be on the run forever? That's not a life." "Better than prison," Marcus retorts. "Or worse." I let them argue, watching the dynamic I've come to know well these past months. Ray the thinker, Marcus the fighter, Denny the follower. Different men, united by desperation and bad choices, and now by a death they never intended. "Enough," I finally say, my command voice cutting through their panic. Inside, all of you, around my kitchen table, the same place where I first offered them jobs instead of jail, we sit in heavy silence. The clock ticks on the wall, counting down hours of freedom. "We didn't mean for him to die," Denny says, his voice small, childlike. "It was an accident. Marcus just pushed him." "Shut up," Marcus snaps. "It doesn't matter what we meant. Man's dead because of us." Ray stares into his coffee, thinking hard. "What are our options, Mr. Miller?" I've been asking myself the same question since Davis left. The tactical part of my brain has been running scenarios, weighing probabilities, calculating risks. The human part, the part Sarah nurtured, has been wrestling with questions of right and wrong. 3 options, I say finally. 1. You run. Try to stay ahead of the law for as long as you can. Marcus nods, ready to choose this immediately. 2. I continue. You turn yourselves in. Tell the truth. Hope for leniency given the circumstances. Ray considers this, always the pragmatist. What's 3? Denny asks when I don't immediately continue. I take a deep breath. What I'm about to propose goes against every rule I've lived by, every oath I swore to my country. It's something deeper than rules or oaths pushes me forward. I testify that you 3 were here the night Thompson was robbed, working for me, that you couldn't have done it. Shock registers on their faces. You'd lie for us? Ray asks, disbelief evident in his voice. Perjury, I say flatly. A felony. But my word carries weight in this county. War hero, respected farmer, friend of the sheriff. If I swear you were here, they might believe it. The enormity of what I'm offering hangs in the air between us. My freedom, my reputation, my honor, everything I've built, risked for 3 men who came to rob me just months ago. Why would you do that? Marcus asks, suspicion narrowing his eyes. What's in it for you? I look around my kitchen, at the home Sarah and I built, at the life I've been half living since her death, at the purpose I've found in these broken men. 20 years I spent taking lives from my country, I say quietly. Maybe it's time I saved a few instead. Ray shakes his head. We can't let you do that. Too risky. Your call, I tell them. All 3 options are on the table, but you need to decide quickly. They exchange glances, a silent conversation passing between them. 2 months working side by side has forged a connection stronger than their original desperate alliance. We need to think, Ray says finally. Can we have some time? I nod. Until sunset. Then we need a plan. They file out to the bunkhouse to deliberate. I remain at the kitchen table, staring at the empty coffee cups, wondering what Sarah would say about all this. Wondering if I've lost my mind or finally found my way back to something that matters. The sun begins its descent toward the horizon, painting my cornfields gold. I step onto the porch just as the bunkhouse door opens. All 3 men walk toward me, their decision visible in their united front. Ray speaks for them all. We can't let you risk everything for us, Mr. Miller. My heart sinks, knowing what comes next. They'll run, or worse, surrender to a system that will show no mercy. But we have another idea, Ray continues. One that might work for everyone. Surprised, I lean forward. I'm listening. In the fading light, surrounded by the harvest we've worked together to bring in, Ray outlines a plan so simple, so unexpected, that it just might work. A plan that offers redemption without destruction. A path forward I never considered. As darkness falls completely, I find myself nodding in agreement. For the first time since they arrived, I see these men not as projects or redemption cases, but as something else entirely. Partners. Dawn breaks cold and clear as I guide my truck down unfamiliar streets. Ray beside me in the passenger seat, giving directions. Marcus and Denny follow in Ray's beat-up sedan. None of us have slept. The weight of Thompson's death and today's decision has hollowed out any chance of rest. That's it, Ray says quietly, pointing to a small house with peeling paint and overgrown grass. Thompson's place. I park across the street, studying the property through eyes trained to miss nothing. Crime scene tape still flutters from the porch rails. A lonely newspaper sits uncollected in the driveway. Death has claimed not just the man, but the home itself, leaving it hollow and abandoned. You sure about this? I ask, giving them one last chance to reconsider. Ray nods, his face set with determination I've come to respect over these past months. It's the right thing to do. The plan they proposed last night was unexpected, but strangely fitting. Not to run, not to let me lie for them, not even to simply turn themselves in. Instead, face the consequences, but first make amends in the only way still possible. Thompson has a daughter in Kansas City. She'll inherit the farm now, a rundown property too far gone for easy selling, too burdened with memories for comfortable living. She arrives tomorrow for the funeral. I remind them, we have one day to do what should have been impossible. One day to transform a crime scene into something a grieving daughter can face with less pain. We approach cautiously. The crime scene tape is a boundary none of us take lightly. But Sheriff Davis won't be back until tomorrow morning, and the rural county has few deputies to spare for watching an empty house. The back door, the same one they broke through months ago, still shows damage from the original break-in. Ray carefully picks the lock, a skill I pretend not to notice he still possesses. Inside, the house tells the story of that night. Blood stains the carpet near the fireplace where Thompson fell. Drawers hang open from the hasty search. Dust has settled over everything, undisturbed since investigators processed the scene. Marcus stops in the doorway, his face pale. "I didn't mean for him to hit the stone," he whispers. "I just wanted him to back off." I place a firm hand on his shoulder. "I know, but regret doesn't clean blood from carpet. Let's get to work." From the truck, we unload the supplies I purchased at dawn when the hardware store opened. Cleaning products, paint, tools, everything needed to erase the visible signs of violence from this home. As a special forces operator, I learned to move through enemy territory, leaving no trace. Today, we do the opposite. We leave traces of care, of restoration, of the respect Thompson never received in life. "Marcus, Denny, stir on the carpet. Ray, help me with these broken hinges." We work in silence at first, each lost in his own thoughts. Then, gradually, Ray begins to speak as he holds a cabinet door steady for me to reattach. "We never knew his first name," he says quietly. "Just Thompson, the farmer with cash in his mattress. A target. Walter," I tell him, driving screws with practiced precision. "Walter Thompson. Served in Vietnam. Artillery unit. Came home to farm the land his father left him." Ray's hands falter slightly. "How do you know that?" "Small town," I reply, and veterans recognize each other. The revelation settles heavily between us. Thompson wasn't so different from me. Another soldier who sought peace in the rhythms of rural life. Another man who survived war only to die violently at home. By midday, the transformation has begun. The bloodstained carpet is gone, pulled up to reveal hardwood floors we sand and refinish. Broken furniture is repaired or replaced with pieces from my own storage barn. The kitchen cabinets that hung askew now stand straight and solid. Denny, working beside me to paint the living room walls, suddenly speaks. "My real dad hit me once. Knocked me into a table corner. I bled a lot." He dips his brush carefully, avoiding my eyes. Foster system took me away after that. Never saw him again. I continue painting, giving him space to say what needs saying. "I always wondered if he felt bad about it," Denny continues. "If he ever tried to make it right somehow." "You can't undo what's done," I tell him gently. "But you can choose what you do next." He nods, understanding passing between us. "That's why I'm here, doing this." By evening, exhaustion has settled into our bones, but the house stands transformed. Clean, repaired, ready for a daughter to walk through without seeing her father's final moments in every corner. As we load our tools back into the trucks, Sheriff Davis's cruiser pulls up alongside us. My heart sinks. A day early. Our time has run out. He steps out slowly, taking in the scene, 4 dusty, paint-splattered men standing beside Thompson's house. "What's going on here, James?" he asks, though his eyes say he already knows. Before I can answer, Ray steps forward. "It was our fault," he says clearly. "Thompson's death. We came to make what little amends we could before we turn ourselves in." Davis looks from Ray to the house, noting the fresh paint, the repaired door, the cleared yard. "You broke into a crime scene," he says, but there's something besides anger in his voice. Confusion, maybe, or reluctant understanding. "Yes, sir," Ray acknowledges. "We'll face those charges too." Davis turns to me. "And you? What's your part in this?" 20 years of military service taught me many things. When to fight, when to retreat, when to stand your ground. These men work for me. I say simply. Where they go, I go. Something shifts in Davis's expression. Respect, perhaps, or recognition of the code I'm following. The soldier's creed that never leaves you, even years after the uniform. "Get in the car," he finally says. "All of you." As we're led to the cruiser, I catch a final glimpse of Thompson's house. No longer a crime scene, but not yet a home again. Something in between. Something mending. Like the men, now facing their reckoning. Like me. The county jail's visiting room smells of industrial cleaner and stale coffee. I sit on an uncomfortable plastic chair, my legs stiff from sitting through yesterday's court appearance. Across from me, separated by a scratched plexiglass divider, Ray, Marcus, and Denny wear identical orange jumpsuits. 2 weeks have passed since Sheriff Davis found us at Thompson's house. 2 weeks of legal procedures, bail hearings denied, and uncomfortable questions for people I've known my entire life. Farm looks good, I tell them, trying for normalcy. Got the last of the corn in before the frost hit. Ray smiles faintly. Glad to hear it. Would have hated for all that work to go to waste. The conversation feels strained, artificial. How do you discuss crop yields with men facing manslaughter charges? How do you pretend everything is normal when nothing will ever be normal again? Your lawyer says the DA is considering a plea deal. I say, lowering my voice though there's no one nearby to overhear. Testimony about Thompson's death in exchange for reduced charges. Marcus leans forward. What about you? Any trouble for helping us? I shake my head. Sheriff Davis convinced them I didn't know about Thompson until after I hired you. A half-truth that Davis and I will take to our graves. They're calling me a misguided do-gooder in the papers. Denny, quieter than ever these days, finally speaks. Did she like it? Thompson's daughter? The house. The question catches me off guard. In all our concerns about legal consequences, I hadn't mentioned my meeting with Angela Thompson. The day after our arrest, she arrived to find her father's house transformed. Sheriff Davis, in a moment of unexpected compassion, had told her what we'd done. She asked to meet me. I tell them. Yesterday, before the bail hearing, all three leaned forward, hungry for this connection to the consequences of their actions. She cried, I say honestly, said her father had let the place fall apart after her mother died, that she'd been trying to convince him to move closer to her in Kansas City, but he was too stubborn. I don't mention how she'd gripped my hand, tears streaming down her face, how she'd asked about the men who'd killed her father, then tried to make amends. The complexity of her grief and gratitude. She's selling the farm. I continue. But she said knowing someone would try to make things right, it helped somehow. Relief crosses their faces. Not absolution, but something close. Confirmation that their effort to make amends meant something, however small. There's something else, I say, shifting in my seat. Something I need to tell you. Their expressions tense, bracing for bad news. They've had plenty of it lately. I've sold 50 acres of my land, I say. East parcel beyond the creek. Got a good price too. Property values are up. Confusion replaces tension. This news seems irrelevant to their situation. The money's being held in trust. I continue. For legal fees first, then for whatever comes next. Mr. Miller, Ray begins, you don't have to. I hold up my hand, stopping him. My wife Sarah and I never had children. Always meant to, but time got away from us. Cancer came too soon. The familiar ache of her absence pulses through me, duller now after years, but never truly gone. The farm was supposed to be a legacy, I explain, something to pass on. Without her, without children, it became just land. Just work. I lean forward, making sure they understand what I'm saying. You three changed that. You reminded me what it means to build something that lasts. To offer second chances. The guard signals that our time is almost up. I speak faster, needing them to hear this. Whatever happens with the trial, however long it takes, there's a place for you when you get out. The farm. A future. If you want it. Stunned silence meets my offer. Denny's eyes fill with tears. Marcus looks away, hiding his emotion. Ray simply stares, searching my face for any sign of deception. Why, he finally asks. After everything. After Thompson. Why us? The guard approaches, ready to end our visit. I stand, my old wound protesting the movement. 20 years I spent following orders, I tell them. Taking lives in distant countries. Came home to find peace, but found emptiness instead. I press my hand against the plexiglass. 3 men try to rob my farm, and somehow gave me back purpose instead. They're led away before they can respond. I watched them go, 3 broken men carrying the weight of their mistakes, but walking straighter than they did months ago when they crossed my fields as thieves in the night. Outside the jail, I find Sheriff Davis waiting by my truck. We haven't spoken much since the arrests. Our friendship strained by my choices, his duty. "You really selling part of the farm?" he asks without preamble. News travels fast in small towns. East Parcel. Never much good for corn anyway. He nods, looking out across the county he's sworn to protect. They could get 5 years. Maybe more. I'll be waiting, I reply simply. Davis studies me with the same look he gave me when I returned from my first tour overseas, like he's trying to reconcile the man before him with the boy he once knew. "You know what people are saying? That you've lost your mind. That grief over Sarah finally broke you." I shrug. "People talk. Always have." "James," he says, softer now, "are you sure about this? These men, they came to rob you. One of them killed a man very much like you." The question deserves an honest answer. I take my time, watching clouds gather on the horizon, promising the season's first snow. In Afghanistan, I took lives to protect others, I finally say. Followed orders. Served a purpose larger than myself. Came home to find that purpose gone. I turned to face him directly. These men, they're not so different from soldiers I knew. Lost. Desperate. Making bad choices because they couldn't see better ones. "They're criminals," Davis counters. "They're men who can be more than their worst mistake." I correct him. "Just like I'm more than my confirmed kills. Just like you're more than your badge." Something shifts in Davis's expression. Understanding, maybe, or at least acceptance. "Thompson's daughter called me yesterday," he says. "Asked if the court would consider her statement." My heart beats faster. "What statement?" "She's requesting leniency." Says knowing they tried to make amends matters to her. Hope, small but real, blossoms in my chest. That could help at sentencing. Davis nods. Could. He pushes away from my truck. "Well, I've got a county to patrol. You got a farm to run." As he walks away, he pauses. "Those fields won't plant themselves come spring. You might need help." "I'll manage," I tell him. He offers a hint of a smile. "I know you will. You always do." I drive home as the first snowflakes begin to fall, whitening the world around me. The farm appears on the horizon. My house, my barn, my fields now bare after harvest. My kingdom of dirt and memory, but no longer empty. In the years ahead, there will be legal battles, complicated emotions, difficult days. The road to redemption is never smooth or certain. But for the first time since Sarah died, I drive toward home with purpose broader than myself. 3 men tried to rob my farm and found a former Green Beret sniper waiting. I was prepared to defend what was mine. I never expected that what I truly needed defending from was the loneliness that had become my only companion. As I park in front of the farmhouse Sarah and I built, I look toward the bunkhouse. Empty now, but not forever. And I remember what my first commanding officer told me about being a Green Beret. We don't just eliminate threats. We build. We teach. We transform. 20 years later, in ways I never imagined, I'm still following those orders.